And welcome to the AEW Dynamite review. We are the Dudley Boys of What Culture. I'm Adam Wilbourn, joined by Michael Hamflett and Michael Sidgwick, here to review everything that happened on last night's episode of AEW Dynamite. But before we get into it, if you're a fan of this sort of thing, make sure you subscribe to What Culture Wrestling on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, and YouTube. Where we do daily wrestling podcasts where we not only review AEW Dynamite, but also AEW Collision, Raw, SmackDown, the show formerly known as NXT 2.0. Pay-per-views, premium live events. We have interviews, roundtable discussions, and a roundup of the week complete with a very good quiz, of course, on Wrestle Culture. As I said, though, joined by Hamflett and Sidgwick to review Dynamite, the go-home show ahead of AEW Dynasty.
Yeah, I was half happy with this, I think, is my general assessment. Dynasty, again, very Collision-influenced B-level pay-per-view. So much so that I might be talking myself into a really happy ending, but we'll get to that, I suppose, as the review unfolds. I will say that the booking has improved exponentially. There seems to be a quiet acknowledgement of the problems, and they are doing what I suggested. I'm not saying they listen to me personally. I'm not. But this, get your head down and do it. Get your head down and do the work. It's pretty easy, isn't it, if you just try hard to just get your head down and do the work that needs to be done, right? But I'm trying to put my finger on what it is that I'm putting Dynamite on, and in my gut and in my heart, I'm not really, let's go, it's time for Dynamite. Yeah. Even though, more often than not in 2025, I've really enjoyed the show's subsequent. I don't think I like the world of AEW very much. Every time, and this is, at this point, it's pathetic, but it's once a year, you tune into New Japan, it's just such a better world. I don't know if the camera work was shoddy on this show.
Yeah.
There was at least 3 spots where they went, oh, this happened. And I'm like, did it? Because I didn't see. And that is, again, at this point, incredibly irritating because it's been a long-standing complaint with AEW. So it still looks a little bit too bright and vivid in terms of the set, which I'm still not 100% on board with. Direction, camera work, whatever, shoddy. They miss so much stuff. And the commentary needs a fix. The commentary needs a fix. Like, just use an example in case I forget it in the match itself. It's Lance Archer versus Brody King. And I don't know if this is when they go to commercial in Triller for the worldwide audience, or not at this point. It's indistinguishable. But they do this meet forever chant when the Hoss fight's going on. I don't like that personally, but if you're the commentary team, you can simply ignore it. Tony Schiavone, who was once he was once accurately called the heart and soul of all elite wrestling, that sense of...
Oh, that's what they were all fighting for.
Yeah.
Tony Schiavone.
It was Tony Schiavone. This idea of this older dude, like, broken by wrestling, broken by WCW, disinterested in WCW, to be generous about it, was so wowed by AEW that he becomes the most enthusiastic.
Couldn't believe his luck, could he?
Yeah, endearing dude. It was so pivotal to the idea of AEW and how cool it is. Look what it can make Tony Schiavone feel. Of all people, Schiavone, most checked out guy ever at one point or another. All good things must come to an end. And I think he's still pretty good on Collision. He still should be used as, I don't know, an interview guy, because he's just a warm face who can do, like, he can conduct the in-ring post-match interviews. I'm not saying go away. I'd never want him to. I think he should be associated with AEW for life. He's earned that much, and he's still valuable. But he has turned into that, like, I mean, he's an old fella as well, an older fella. He has become very forgetful. He'll say something like, I've never heard that chant before, as he said during Archer King. And it's, in fact, been heard so often that it's become irritating, this meet forever, meet stuff. Taz, in response, goes, yeah, I've heard it. I don't like that chant. And even though I agree with him, I'm still begging him to shut up.
Yeah.
Let's focus on the meat of it all. I was talking to friend of the channel and really good guy, Benno, on our wonderful world tour just last week.
Feels longer ago already, doesn't it?
And we were talking about this, and I said it really comes to something when I miss Jim Ross, because his sort of austere focus on the business end of it, and yes, he could go on weird and sometimes awfully sexist tangents, and I don't think he took it as seriously as he could have as well, but he grounded the whole thing, and his sort of, he was a bit miserable, but he was asking questions. He was at least trying to ground it as this real thing that we should take seriously, even if he himself didn't. I don't know, man. This commentary is just yuck, trivial. They're all having too much fun, and I find it hard to invest in the stakes of AEW if the commentary team don't really give that much of a toss half the time.
This is fresh. Out of the oven between me and Sid, because we were just talking about this like 10 minutes before we came up. My take on AEW and the commentary is that I think I like this Dynamite, and maybe even AEW in the world, more than Sid right now, because it's that thing you do when like everything's suddenly good again. You start looking for the Matt Hardy. Like, what's the Matt Hardy of 2021? What's the, what's the sort of Codyverse of early 2022?
It's a thing you hear for 2 hours.
Yeah, it's the commentary. It is like, it stuck out to me like a sore thumb this week. I said it to this morning. I was like, I think I like this Dynamite even more than you. I think something I'm going to heap praise on. It's the main event. I'm almost embarrassed to do so in front of friends, right? I liked it. I just straight up liked it. A big old 17-minute Edge Claudio match and all that. I liked it. Sorry. Like, sorry, Mom, Dad.
You don't have any credibility.
Mom, Dad, and Ella kids. I enjoyed the boring match. I'm sorry. But like, yeah, the commentary is so ever present. Obviously, it has to be. But it's in those little ways in just about every match where there's something alienating. And this isn't to start a positive review with one big negative, but it is how the brain works sometimes.
Yeah.
Great. What is that? Like, I would argue, if we're all being honest, that there are plenty of these problems that we flagged up in big and small ways, probably for a year and a half, maybe longer now. And if anything, it's sort of a compliment, like it's a compliment sandwich, or it's a criticism hidden within the compliment, because I think it was less of a problem when there were bigger fires that needed putting out in AEW.
Yeah.
Those have been extinguished. And increasingly, you're starting to see like kind of all the benefits of that. As Sidge points out, like all the hard work that has been done on a lot of the stuff that's a bit boring and a bit, sometimes you just have to go to work. You have to analyze what the job is and go to work and do the job. And increasingly, they've done that. And it's now highlighting the issue with the commentary. But it's very much God, if you could only fix that, then an arsehole on the internet find a new problem. But like, it would be a new problem, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, then it's like, well, then what can I complain about on my stupid little podcast? What can we whinge about then? We'd find something.
Well, there's always something.
Yeah.
But that's the point. You ideally want the show to be so fantastic. And yeah, it's not like 2021 or 2020, but it is really good. Like, I can't remember the last outright bad Dynamite. I feel like there's been one in 2025 and we had a bit of fun taking the piss out of it.
I think it was the one where the women's casino battle royal, which is just unacceptable considering what the men get. And,
like otherwise, like this is it like fair to call it a rich vein of form that AEW's in? Like, I think so. Like, I think 2025, in the same way that it used to be like 2024, it's not 2023. And it's like, but what is it really, we can separate 2025 entirely from like the dark days, whatever you want to call it. There is absolute enormous strides moving forward. There's just still little things. Maybe the commentary feel the most like a holdover from the stuff AEW's need to move away from. There is no change in the voices at the booth. Tony Schiavone, like Excalibur is the anchor. Like, maybe if he moved back into something approaching a colour role, I don't know, but a
lot of people want Rick Bonnie to have it
as the play-by-play. I can see that. He's really he's affable in a way that people loved out of Schiavone originally, isn't he?
Yeah.
But it might
He's got a sort of wholesome thing that people like out of AEW.
Good show, good Dynamite.
Yeah. Well, let's get into it. Let's talk about the show. Yeah, I think that's a fair assessment. I actually felt something for the Death Riders with this opening match. It was the mixed tornado tag, Mox and Marina Shafir versus Swerve Strickland and Willow Nightingale. Probably because it had Willow in. That's probably why I love her. She's great. No messing about. Swerve and Willow run down to the ring. The bell rang in this match about 5 minutes in, and I didn't know what was going on. I didn't realise, obviously, no one had gotten in the ring at that point because they were just brawling around ringside. And then at one point, it was just like, ding, ding. I was like, what's happening? But yes, they brawl around ringside. Eventually, they go into Marina and Willow and fight in there. Shafir drops Nightingale with a snap suplex out on the floor, actually, and helps Mox set up a table at ringside. Shafir hits some judo throws in the ring. There's a nice backbreaker, shotgun dropkick combo from Willow and Swerve. They both hit locomotion corner splashes and do the griddy. Shafir attacks Nightingale. Moxley grabs Swerve and hits him with a cutter and then just launches him into the front row. Moxley then teases a paradigm shift on Willow Nightingale. So Swerve comes in and goes, fine, I'll hit Marina Shafir with big pressure. And they both daring each other to do it. Neither of them do. So in the end, Shafir and Willow fight out on the apron. Nightingale gets caught trying a charging boot, and Shafir eventually gets her up and power bombs her through the table to take us into a break. Just about. Looked a rough bump to take us into commercial. When we come back, the three of them, not called Willow Nightingale, are all fighting in the corner against the turnbuckle. And Nightingale flies in, and there's like a Tower of Doom spot with poor Swerve taking a superplex in the process. Mox grabs Willow by the hair. Good sort of heel heat that. But Swerve flies in with a pump knee. Nightingale hits Mox with a cannonball. Swerve hits a dive onto Mox on the outside. And Nightingale hits Shafir with a spine buster for a 2 count. Moxley counters a brainbuster into a rear naked choke. And Shafir tries to get a triangle on Nightingale, but she gets out of it and powerbombs Shafir onto the pile to reset everything. Then Swerve goes for a house call on Mox after hitting a rolling flatliner, but Shafir takes the bullet for him, shoves him out of the way, and Swerve hits her with it and just sort of looks and goes, I'll take it. And this was the point you alluded to, where suddenly Mox has gone through a table on the outside. Nightingale has obviously knocked him off the apron through that, and Willow hits a Dr. Bomb on Marina Shafir to get the 1-2-3 for her team. Post-match, everyone's celebrating. Willow, best of all. Yay, yay, turns round. Mox hits her with a paradigm shift, bails as Swerve realizes what's happened, and doctors are checking on Willow Nightingale as the Death Riders escape through the crowd.
Oh, boy. I didn't rate this at all, I don't think. I'll say some nice things before I get into the core problems with the execution and perhaps even the idea of this match, right? There was a sequence with Mox and Swerve, and ultimately this was like a preview and a way to heat it up. And that culminated in that rolling flatliner where I thought, they are in lockstep with one another. It looks like they've got that chemistry. That's good. That is, encouraging ahead of Dynasty it's Sunday, isn't it?
Yeah.
Good. Right. Bloody hell. But like this was really rough in the first half. They eventually sort of like locked in and got on the same wavelength in the second half of the match. This is pretty rough and distracting, really, for the first half, if not longer, of the match. I didn't think it was good at all for a long, long time. I expected more craziness. This is Moxley and Swerve, two of the most violent, unhinged characters in AEW history. And yeah, you don't want a total bloodbath. The idea is to preview. Maybe the stip was all wrong. Maybe the match was all wrong. Because I think it did a terrible job for Marina Shafir. And, I really don't think... Look, it was optimistic and I was very optimistic yesterday if you listened to that preview, but I think it was optimistic for her to enter this blow-away performance in this match that seemed to be structured to flatter her at certain points. She seemed nowhere near ready. And why would she be? She doesn't wrestle. There are no house shows. I mean, you can train all you like and grapple and do practice and rehearsal, which I'm assuming she does because Moxley was the guy who says she does. She's got potential. Let's do something with her. A whole nother thing to do it live in front of loads of fans on the subject of which maybe they were limited by, as soon as I saw that really snug close-up of the first 3 rows of the left-hand side of the arena and then half of the right hand. You can just tell by the camera angle, they can't have this huge, sprawling Anarchy in the Arena, sub-Anarchy in the Arena style melee because there's too many empty seats. So maybe in a different venue this would have worked more, but I feel like they were confined to one area lest they expose the TV magic of, a lot of empty seats. But then at the same time, there's a few table bumps and it's just, it's a bit WWE. I've got a problem as well with one spot in particular. And it's always thorny doing intergender stuff. Like it's, some people just philosophically do not like it. Some people like it a little bit too much. It's always quite tricky when you flirt with that idea. I wouldn't have done the spot where Swerve and Mox just had Willow and Marina in complete control, could have done the move whenever the Downwell wanted. They should have subverted that and then had Marina and Willow go, I'm not going to stand there while I'm not going to back suplex.
I think they should have done it after. It should have been the payoff. They should have reversed it and then had both women hit them. We're not waiting around for this. I thought that's what was coming. Yeah. Well, that's cool. That's what they're going to do. But Marina kind of did a bit as well because you do it. So like daring Swerve to do it anyway takes away from the point of what they were in their own standoff. And I'm thinking, the women are going to get the opportunity of it, and they're just going to drill their opponents. Yeah. And they never got there, so it just became the damsel in distress.
Yeah. It felt like a cannonball in the corner was the closest they got, wasn't it?
Should have done the like for like.
If we'd seen it, Willow pounced Moxley through a table. Yeah. Completely missed it. So maybe if the production or the director was completely on point, locked in, doing their job, maybe that sequence, the feeling of, they just stood there waiting for the blokes at their sort of leisure. I could chin you if I wanted. Yeah. I just thought that was one of the reasons why this is such a touchy thing that a lot of wrestling in the mainstream just doesn't bother with, because you always open yourself up to this sort of, I just didn't like that as well. I don't think as well I liked the post-match. Either do it or don't. So the idea was Jon Moxley was back-to-back with Willow, and in his head, he's thinking, that could be Swerve. Paradigm shift. And then he feigns a little bit of, should I have done that? And then he realized, I quite like doing that, and smiled. And then maybe there was the slight insinuation of, I knew what I was doing. Tough titties, I'm Jon Moxley. I don't think that got the heat. There was a bit of shock when it happened. I mean, if you're going to do it, and I'm not going to do a moral quandary about whether you can or can't or should or shouldn't, maybe just do it. Especially when this Death Rider stable fighting for its life, people want it to end. I'd know, if you're going to do it, just do it. Is that fair?
We were 6-7 years old when Jake Roberts slapped Miss Elizabeth. That's the heel in that position, just owning
that they're a complete arsehole.
Unconscionable. They're willing to be a big enough bastard to do this in this setting.
I thought
to take it to the next level and do this in the setting.
I just got the sense with that spot and the way it was framed and Moxley's body language that they were very, very careful about it and did it anyway. If you're going to do it anyway, do it anyway. Do you know what I mean? I'm not saying they should have. I'm saying if they wanted to do it, just do it. I reckon that spot could have got way more heat if they were just going to do it.
Because it was a great sell from Willow. Just laying there and grabbing her neck.
Yeah, I think she had a good night. Yeah. She had a good night.
I like this way more. And I kind of disagree, I think, with like the...
It's all right, we're all grown-ups.
I think it was because I really liked the tone of this as a contrast to Moxley and Cope's violence. The Moxley character, especially as a Death Rider, can very easily, like when every week we try and pick apart the logic of a character that has no logic, they kind of make it up as they go along, and Jon Moxley's everything. He's the everything man. Like, at its core, hard guy having hard-hitting matches. That's, if you're going to boil it down to one thing. So there's not really much road when it comes to telling different stories. He's just had a really hard-hitting feud with Cope that's gotten really grisly. Next it's Swerve, going to have a really hard-hitting war with Swerve that's going to get grisly, right? That's what we assume. This being a bit more of a cartoon of a match, I thought was really beneficial to the story, and then stood in nice contrast to what we had in the main event angle later on. Like, it made me like it even more. I almost felt like they'd actually thought about this and like, what tone do we want to set between Mox and Swerve? Can we get a bit light with this? I think we can, because you're going to get the real weighty material between Swerve and Hangman, and then you're going to get some actual violence in the closing angle. Yeah. Like, if it's just violence, heat, anger, then does that not take away from the stuff that really matters, which is Swerve and Hangman and the glass thing at the end? Like, does one not kind of negate the other? I thought this was like serving everybody and creating like a way to like escalate the stakes a little bit. You pointed out the WWE thing. I'm sitting there thinking, is that how they got me? Like
the show long. The idea that they're going to appear later in the show and what's happened might be linked to something later.
Yeah, like I like this in the moment.
No, I did like the idea of that.
I like this in the moment, and I like the fact that this, if there'd been no more follow-up with Swerve and Moxley throughout the rest of the show, it still would have been better for me because it did feel different and distinct from Cope and Mox. Like Mox being a bit of a cartoon villain with that Willow Nightingale thing, I thought was very much by design because it was... He would have never done that in the Cope stuff. It was so serious and earnest and wanky. Like this was a bit sort of Roadrunner, Wile E. Coyote. You know, you could drop an anvil from the sky, or you can do a big bug eyes sell. The match was really the Marina Shafir thing. I thought the exact same thing as you. Like, you're effing a few things up, and then it's like, you never wrestle.
Yeah.
Like, so what do you do here? Like, what I think I saw her at Bloodsport in like a year ago today, I think, or tomorrow, whatever it is. I don't think she's wrestled in AEW in that time. In that 12 months, I would wager it probably goes before that, you know, because this Death Riders thing's been going on a while, and she was kind of AWOL as a wrestler before that. It was like Moxley bringing her back in from the cold sort of thing. It's been ages, absolutely ages. So like, you can criticise, and then at the same time, you're like, if you were talking about another wrestler who's not been in there for a year and a half, you'd have that. You'd make that dispensation, wouldn't you?
How many indies has she done? Wilbourn's got the cage match.
So she worked Bloodsport's 4th of April last year. And subsequent to that, she's worked 21 matches.
Oh, it's more than I thought. Yeah, that's more than I thought, actually.
Defy.
That's fair play. I mean, didn't see much evidence of it, but it's fair play that she's actually going out and doing it.
A few bits on Ring of Honor.
Especially when you
Ring
look...
of Honor is crossed, yeah.
Especially when you look at like how few opportunities there are for women in the States on the indie level, you know?
So no, I got quite a lot out of this. Execution wasn't great throughout. The match portion was better than the early brawl portion, for sure.
Yeah.
And either production isn't ideal when they get... Because I saw I think it was on Twitter this morning, there was like the wider shot, obviously. You could watch that over and over again of Willow hitting that pounce onto Moxley. It looks great. And you just think, you've blown a money shot there.
Yeah.
Maybe
that, I think that might have been like pivotal to the whole tenor of the match.
Yeah.
But
just cut, and it was just like, Moxley's at a table. And yeah, they subsequent to that cut back, and obviously they showed the paradigm shift on Willow, and also as part of that, did the sort of, here's another angle on the thing we didn't see of the parents through the table. Prior to that, though, a moment I know Michael Sidgwick will have loved because Renee Paquette is backstage with FTR and referee Paul Turner, because on Collision, Dax put his hands on the referee. He's been fined $10,000.
Good. We need fines in wrestling. There needs to be ramifications for this sort of thing. Otherwise, it's just this crime spree, and you can do anything you want to anyone at any time. Mox should be bankrupt. You know what I mean? He should be.
Yeah.
He tie that into a promo. I'm not here for money. I'll happily burn every single thing in my pocket for my legacy or for whatever.
Dax has got the fine money with him. He wants to give it directly to Paul Turner. Apologised, told him to buy his wife something nice and go and have a nice dinner, but not cash the check until Friday. Cash can barely look at Dax, though. He apologised for what he did in the heat of the moment because he thought Wheeler was a security guard on Collision. He said, one of the men I love most in this world. And come to this thing, they're going to add to their history of being the greatest tag team of all time. Harwood tries to hug Cash, but he stops him and says, look, Sunday will be fine, but afterwards we need to have a talk.
Yeah, no, this is good stuff, This is good stuff. I thought Dax Harwood was really strong here. Really strong. When you do something and you think, I was in the wrong there. I was in the wrong. You have an argument with the buddy misses, yeah? It all happens. It all happens. You find yourself really overcompensating and trying to be in a good mood and just trying to rush through that sort of conflict resolution by being, I'm nice.
God, I miss normal. I've got to bring back to normal.
Yeah. And I thought Dax was really good at trying too hard.
Yeah.
For once.
Let's put Only Connect on. Hey, come on.
I love this story more than everything bar one thing in AEW.
You do, don't you? Really like
love
it.
it.
It's done really well.
I loved it last week. I loved it when we were previewing it last week because all of a sudden it opened up and you could see the trios match potentially happening and the way that the perfect escape route from Mox to this Death Riders thing. I am even starting to work myself into thinking, because there is so much fun in the apparent everything is fine reunion, that they actually win the belts and lose them back as the incite, rather than just that they lose inciting incident. You could actually get like a brief reign and everything's fine.
Everything's
like
just
massive
great.
painted on smile on Dax. We did it, Cash, and everything seems okay.
It's the Arps. How hard can it be? Oh, God damn it, we lost.
Or the Death Riders like completely ruin the party as they want to do. And what it does is it reveals, because like we used the comparison last week, like one of our all-time favorites, because it's one of the all-time best, like Brett and Owen. Like when they lose to the Khaki Quebecers at the Royal Rumble 94.
Jobber jaw punch.
Yeah, like it's not just because like Brett has like tried to win for his brother and all the romance of that. No, it's because you saw them like fray at the edges in November, but then everything's fine. We're back together over the holiday. Like if they're back together over the holidays, is these three winning the belts? And then they lose them straight away. It's not fine after all. Like that, and that's the boot off. I love this, and you've got to think they're allowing you to map it forward to Cope and Christian versus FTR, aren't they? Because that's big and all. Which
it's
is
not
really
fine, and we all know whose fault this is. Cope.
I love where it's going. I love every permutation, and I love the big match. I feel like you've been invited to think about. This is wrestling to me. This,
really good, really strong plotting. Great use of overlapping championship scenes as well.
Yeah.
So I don't know, knock over the tags. We're down the pecking order. Failed in the pursuit of the title. We can still go for the trios. Like the first time in maybe ever that the trios title feels like, it's got a storyline.
Yeah.
Trio title or bust, isn't it?
yeah.
My only concern off the back of this was like, 10 grand fine for Dax. Those collision cops going to have to hit the road a hell of a lot. Tickets left, right, and goddamn center.
Yeah, but enough about collision.
Thank God. Thank God.
We won't be able to review it, unfortunately, on Monday, because we'll be reviewing Dynasty Dynasty.
Deputy Dex.
That's Friday's pod sword.
Yeah, there we go. Deputy Dex, your watch stopped because Cole and Garcia are still wrestling.
Yeah, they're teasing a long one.
It's going to go 30 minutes on a pay-per-view, isn't it?
It's one of those, it's like we'll save that for the preview, but I've got concerns about that match. Concerns about that match, bro.
Speaking of Dynasty, we know a couple of matches that have been added to it, because after this, we found out the Owen Hart Foundation tournament brackets. I'll run you through them very quickly and give us your brief thoughts. We have
Get it right.
Will Ospreay versus Kevin Knight. Kevin Knight is the replacement for Jay White. I forgot to mention earlier, it revealed to have been taken out by the Death Riders prior to the show.
A hand injury, I think.
Injured.
I think a hand injury, if I read that on Twitter before I came in.
What's he been up to?
Surgery, I think.
Don't trivialise it, mate.
Sorry.
He's saying he's wanked his hand off. That's what you've been. That was the implication.
We've all done it. Brody King versus Konosuke.
So no, hang on. You're telling me that you've once masturbated so furiously that you've broken your hand?
Found yourself in hospital with a wanking injury.
I believe Pepper Army down there. Brody King versus Konosuke Takeshita.
6 feet of meat.
Mark Briscoe versus Carl Fletcher. I did enjoy Carl Fletcher doing the weather the other day. If you saw that on social media,
I didn't see that.
Worth checking out. And Hangman Page versus a wild card in the women's Owen Hart Cup. It is Jamie Hayter versus Billy Starks, Thunder Rosa versus Chris Statlander, Julia Hart versus Mercedes.
Money.
And Harley Cameron versus Athena. I looked at that women's bracket and I thought, look at that women's division now. This is such good health.
I wish there was more of it.
Yeah.
I really wish there was more of it. The women's looks more intriguing in terms of talent and route. Athena and Mercedes on the same side. That was instantly like,
yep.
They know how big that is because they've been teasing it, and yet it's going to happen on TV, apparently. I reckon there's a series there. They have got, that might be their big women's story, not involving Toni Storm. Throughout 2025. Great news there. Men's I mean, it's Ospreay, Hangman. It's Ospreay, Hangman in the final.
We learned nothing from that we didn't already know yesterday, did we?
Yeah.
The big names are in it and they're going to win.
Fletcher, Briscoe have got magnificent chemistry. I like the idea of them doing that. If it's early as well, A wild card's always something.
Alex Abrahantes, we picked yesterday.
No.
Okay.
It's a nice, if it's Jeff Jarrett, it's a nice flip on last year, isn't it? Hangman was the wild card for their first round match last year.
Yeah.
So, you know.
Because I'm thinking, Josh Alexander might
yeah.
already be there, but then is he going to lose his debut? I don't know. So that's halfway interesting.
Ospreay Knight and Mercedes Julia Hart.
Takeshita Ospreay too. You can't really complain about that unless you're dead inside.
Yeah, Ospreay Knight, Mercedes Julia Hart is going to be on Dynasty, and in terms of the finals, they're going to double nothing that bitch.
I wouldn't be putting Julia Hart on Dynasty, mate.
I
She hasn't been that great since she returned.
wish they were doing the tag match on Dynasty, if I'm honest. The one they built later on. That's some nice bracket stuff.
Yeah, for Kalish, yeah.
Yeah. Like
What are they doing on Kalish?
that Kalish tag.
Mercedes and Harley Cameron versus
They've got a team
Athena.
together because of the brackets. And it's like, that's...
I like that.
I'd have had that on Dynasty, no problem.
Sorry, Sid. A women's match in the first hour? Yes. I saw Matt Reigns' tweet. First Newcastle win the trophy, and then Sidge finally gets on the board for it. It was timeless Tony Storm versus Penelope Ford. Storm, no messing about, immediately attacked. Spinning backbreaker, fisherman suplex, gets a near fall out of it. She misses the hip attack, though. That allows Ford to hit a shotgun drop kick and springboard double knees, and then does the mocking of Storm's pose. And she hits her with a big boot to take us into a break. When we come back, Ford goes to do the spot that you two talked about of licking Tony Storm, and Tony Storm just bites her.
This is a thorny ground, and I'm a stupid bloke who doesn't know nothing. So disregard what I'm about to say. Because even if it's like the slightest adjustment, I feel like I never want to comment on how a woman presents herself in the pro wrestling sphere. But I feel compelled to say this because I think it might be a salient point. Maybe tie your hair back if you're doing that. Just once, because I couldn't see it.
Mm-hmm.
I could not see any of it at all, I'm sorry.
Storm fires up after the back of this, hits Sweet Cheek music, hits a DDT on Ford to get a near fall. She gets a leg capture, STF as well. Ford has to get a rope break for that. But she pulls Tony Storm to the outside, hits a moonsault off the apron. Back inside, she hits a gutbuster for 2. But misses a high kick, and Storm hits a German suplex. They sort of lose each other for a split second. But Ford dodges Storm Zero, tries for her Matrix Stunner, but Storm avoids that and hits Storm Zero for the 1-2-3. Post-match, out walks Megan Bain. Tony Storm. Some of a bare knuckle fight then, but Megan just gives her a sort of slow golf clap. See you on Sunday sort of thing.
Yeah, bad news. Well, good news is that I'm still invested in Tony Storm, Megan Bain. The idea that if they're going to this early, maybe they're going to spring a shock. Can't see it, but the 1% of doubt exists because there's a lot of conviction behind this Megan Bain push. Having her beat Statlander twice.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe they don't see enough in Stat as they should, but that is a big thing because Stat's so great. So the idea that she's beaten Stat twice and they're going so early with the Tony Storm match, I'll have that 1% of doubt watching it. I think they've done a good job of establishing Megan Bain, who with her hair flips and power game, and I think she's done really well. This, as I anticipated yesterday, was spreadsheet booking of, all right, okay, well, Penelope Ford is the enhancement talent of this 6-week cycle. Tony Khan's patterns. No jeopardy in the match. Not a great deal of entertainment value in it either. But the fans responded enthusiastically to Tony Storm because she is such a star. And it's this total cliched, predictable AEW Women's Division fare. But it was hot enough, I think, even if the match was a bit ropey, as you point out.
Yeah, I wish the match was a little bit better, but I wouldn't have cared if it wasn't that much better. I like this. This is my TV. Like, Tony Storm's this massive star, and I don't wish to see her as like a rotated character. I know she always gets promo time at like a bare minimum.
Yeah.
But if it's up to me, she gets a promo time and a match.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, there's value in Tony Storm to such a degree as your undisputed top star, not just of the women's division, but at this point, I think she's making a good case being like, in the top 3 within AEW.
Yeah.
I think, like, if you didn't already think it, the Hollywood ending was the point where there was no doubt left.
That was iconic.
Yeah.
Instantly iconic.
Instantly. And I just think that, like, this is... you view everything through your own lens to an extent, but this is how I'd book, truthfully. Like Tony Storm, this match is how I would book a wrestling TV show. You want it to be a bit better in places. They did, you said, lose each other.
Yeah.
It was a couple of times in the match. So you would want like someone like a Tony Storm to just never have duffers. There was one on Dynamite last week and I've already forgotten what it was, but it's like your champions, your profile characters, I'll have them out there every week given the TV time. Like I appreciate it's a balancing act and you've maybe got to share it out a little bit. Some of it's a premium. Collision doesn't count like it used to, so Dynamite is absolutely the premium real estate, but this is how you book. And they have protected Megan Bain, or at least hidden what she might not have, in the way that they have pushed her into this Tony Storm spot. You've not seen any more than you've needed to between those two. She's been able to get a pin on her in the one time they've come together recently. So I've enjoyed this, and I've got the same 1% as well, which for Tony Storm just getting the belt back and being that bigger star is an achievement.
Yeah. But as I said, it was the only women's match, as we mentioned yesterday. The half a women's match in the opener doesn't count. It was the only women's match on this card, and before we get to the name of the game, we have to get Sidge to the aim of the game.
We do.
It's cross to bear.
The aim of the game is to identify to the hour, minute, and second the first time you hear the first note for the first woman to come out and wrestle for the only women's match on Dynamite, with the idea being, hang on, there's a pattern here, and I'm new to sing it. And we just want to kind of allow you to notice this pattern and putting in bold, underscoring, and italicizing just what the hell's going on. And what is going on, you ask? Here's the answer. I suspect anyway that more often than not, obviously not the case this week, but more often than not, the that one women's match tends to fall in that 1 hour 20 to 1 hour 25 minute range, bell time, opening bell. And I'm thinking either AEW as an entity, Tony Khan and or Warner are thinking, here's the market psychology here. It's 2025. We're going to put the Buddy Birds on. Yeah. You got it for the Buddy Wokes, the leg click off. And it just feels like an obligation that they feel like they have to do, and it not really feeling like that much of a passion project. Some good evidence yielded over the last year notwithstanding. We're still on one match mostly per week. And I'm thinking, right, okay, well, yeah, we have to put the women on, but if we do it too early, they'll think there's more coming on the horizon. Can't have that. Can't have that. So I'm thinking it goes just before the main event, with the idea being, right, the audience might treat this as a sunk cost fallacy, even though, Willow Nightingale, Chris Statlander, Athena, Mercedes Moné, Holly Cameron, loaded with talent. Absolutely, I'm an art hater. Loaded with talent. Would rather see them than Jericho, Mox, et al. But this is what they think, not what we think, and what I hope all you would think. If we suffer through these bloody women, we've already spent an hour and 20 minutes watching this show. We'll endure them, and then the main event's not too far away. You're thinking, well, cynical, also mouthful. Can you jingleize that for me, Sidge? Sure I can. Yeah? So here's the jingle of what I perceive to be the cynical thought process, okay? I'm so goddamn tired. There we go. Don't worry, guys. When the women come out to play, the main event ain't too far away. That's the aim of the game. And the name of the game is, well, this is ladies' night, and I'm thinking, what a night there. Sorry.
Thanks as always to the Panda Blair himself, Adam Blair at Adam Wilton 4, and Jose Palomares at the Ho 11. The guys who always take care of the
data.
Thank you for this sort of thing. Just remembered Crucifino doing data yesterday, and him saying it sounds like someone calling a baby calling for their father.
NXT review wherever you get your podcasts from.
Chaos.
Submitted for award consideration.
Sidge, what were our guesses yesterday?
In descending order, not a bit. No. We don't do bits. This is definitely not a bit. We don't know. We're never
lying.
Michael Sidgwick, 1 hour, 17 minutes, and 11 seconds. Adam Wilbourn.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Michael Hamflett, optimistically, 1 hour, 41:20. Who won?
It was a clear win for Michael Sidgwick. He's on the board for 2025. Michael Hamflett ahead of him with 2 correct guesses, and I've got 5 for the year. We'll see if this game ever ends.
Never will.
Nah.
Renee Paquette's backstage. Asked Swerve for an update on Willow Nightingale. He reiterates how strong and brave she is, but he says, look, Mox knew about her history of neck injuries. So now he's on the hunt for him. He won't rest until he gets his hands on Moxley tonight. By the end of the night, he promises it's going to happen. I'll wet your whistle for the rest of the show.
Yeah.
We haven't really mentioned this, actually. Excalibur talks about All In Texas, how they're basically making it a whole, not to use the WrestleMania week, effectively. They're doing Dynamite, Collision, StarCast, Death Before Dishonor, All in Texas. I really like that.
Yeah, it's ambitious. Probably not before time that they really cement one event as their WrestleMania. It helps narratively. It helps, if the tickets start, getting sold in vaster quantities, it will help the idea of it's just great to have a big destination show. I mean, like New Japan do it with the G1 into there. It's just such a big narrative help, and if you can really cement it as this huge occasion worth celebrating and just really isolate it, this is the biggest one. This is the biggest one. It's not the first one, but it is now become the biggest. Great idea, if nothing else, for the storylines. I was a little bit apathetic about last night's Dynamite, to be honest, but with the way that Owen looks and who's getting pushed and what matches you might get, it just fuels fantasy booking, fuels optimism. It allows you to think, right, okay, Dynasty's B-level, yeah, whatever, bit too collision-y, yeah, Cope singles match, but you get All In, which is a different feeling to, you get, I don't know, Double or Nothing, or, it just feels like wrestling promotions are booked and have been booked in the modern era, at least the millennial fans' understanding of pro wrestling, and that's how, Levesque, Tony Khan, Ghetto, they all know how to book it in that. It's just time. It is time. I also, speaking on the subject of time, God damn it, 8 p.m. UK time, I'm going to get to watch an AEW pay-per-view.
Yeah.
Yes.
I will probably fall asleep because I'm broken. Broken by living in betwixt 2 time zones and being a parent and stuff. But yeah, that is such a huge boon. And I didn't think about this, but what a way to say you, the Fed, for doing Saturday night's main event.
Of course, yeah.
Is that weekend?
The little who counter-program it and try and cut it off at the knees constantly.
Oh, they're not. They're like...
No, they are.
Well, no, come on. Like, AEW, maybe they just didn't know Saturday night's main event was already booked. Don't call them that, Sidge.
So, Saturday afternoon's main event is it'll probably happen in the next, month. Arseholes. You support an evil empire, well done.
It's funny, though, isn't it?
Not really, no. They're scared, are they?
Probably fighting back for them booking Forbidden Door in the middle of that big Paris thing that they're doing. Yeah, fair. I think it's great news, like you say, mid-afternoon if you're lucky enough to be in attendance for All In, of course. Just saying. Maybe.
Are you gonna do anything for All In?
I might start sending some emails after we get back from WrestleMania.
Love Texas.
Never know. Texas.
I mean, I'm up for it.
That's not a...
No, shut up.
We're not
No, we're not doing anything yet.
Not doing anything probably at all.
No. But
I'm going to try. Saw that 5-show thing yesterday. What did I do? I messaged Phil straight away.
Try.
I did look at that and go, son of a bitch. The closest we got was Dynamite in Cardiff last year.
Do a live show there, Death Before Dishonor probably. That's the best time.
Yeah.
Second live show as well.
Starcast.
Yeah.
Been a part of it before. You were there.
Got some...
Avoiding getting decked.
Yep. After...
Cyborg.
That was Double or Nothing. She tried to kill me at. Starcast was Tamatonga killing Phil. If I'm not mistaken.
We're mates now, so it's fine.
We're good mates now. He was having a lovely time at Sweet Chin.
That's it. Heal those wounds, didn't you?
Yeah. First thing he said to me, remember when my dad tried to kill you as well at Bullet Club Block Party? Anyway, back to AEW, and MVP and Bobby Lashley make their way to the ring. Severe weather causing Shelton Benjamin not to be there. But before Bobby can say anything, MJF's music hits. He walks down to the ring, fakes out some poor bastard. Sign my sign. Piss off.
Lobbed his pen, didn't he? Nobody else can sign it.
Good stuff.
It's good stuff.
Nobody else can sign it either. MJF compliments how good MVP's looking, but he reminds Bob.
I love it, man. What does he expect?
His name is Bobby. Kind
of disrespected me last week, Bob. But formally introduces himself, says how much he loves the big man, Shelton Benjamin, wishes him well. Stay safe, I'll see you down the road. Says, look, you've done a lot in your career. I keep wanting to say, you've done a lot in your career, Bob. But this is AEW.
Called him Bob.
Yeah.
You're standing on the block that I built. Hey, if I could be a part of your group, I could help you and Shelton hold the tag titles for as long as you please. And hey, maybe even you could help me regain my AEW World Championship. Me and the Hurt Syndicate is just good business. MVP knows it. I know it. Even the mouth breathers in the Midwest know it. And everyone, boo. Tell me when Peoria ever mad. Look, Bob, his words, not mine. Bob, you might not want me, but Bobby, you big, beautiful bastard, you need MJF. Bobby Lashley, this entire time, he's just stood there. He hasn't moved a
So
muscle.
good at doing nothing.
Yep.
He's presence.
He says, let's be clear, out of respect to MVP, I'm not going to kill you right now, but I don't like you, and I don't trust you, and the Hurt Syndicate doesn't need you unless you prove otherwise. Get out of my face right now. A little moment between MJF and MVP. Again, MVP's like, leave it. And MJF says he's leaving because Peoria stinks. Before we get to Big Bill and Brian Keith, just a word on this because I loved it.
I continue to be gripped, confused in the best way about what's going on. Good, strong, episodic TV with some really strong performances here. Like, I had that inward, don't do that, when he put his hand on Bob's shoulder.
Yes.
Don't. It's like that moments before disaster feeling. And just the out and out, just the casual, like involuntary disrespect from MJF was fantastic here. And then because it's good plotting and because it's such an intriguing premise, a really creative pitch, what happens in turn is you start thinking, where's it going? And then you want to know where it's going. And am I right or am I wrong? It's a bit mystery based now, but that's good. They can do the proper emotional stuff later. The only issue, and it's not really an issue for my investment at least, is there will probably come a time, maybe as quickly as Dynasty, where the Hurt Syndicate either need MJF's help or MJF is going to feel that they need his help. The only thing you can do is injure one of Benjamin or Lashley. I mean, Big Bill is a big bastard, but I don't know. It's just like any kind of like them selling. I don't know, but I don't know how it's going to work. I'm just interested very much at this point in the exact how, and that's the business.
Yeah, same. I appreciate that they've done the work ultimately. You instantly buy and have always bought Bobby Lashley and MVP's relationship. It's part of him coming into AEW, him coming in with MVP and the whole deal. And with that now comes the respect that you believe as to why Bobby Lashley isn't just going to flatten MJF right now, which is MJF just glad of that, or is he leveraging that for something? It's a bit of both, isn't it, realistically? But you believe it. Bobby Lashley will not do anything out of respect for MVP until, well, that's going to get pushed or that's going to get tested or whatever. The week that he does it, though, MVP invites MJF into the fold is when he gives Shelton and Lashley the week off. So even he knows this is going to create a test. So who's zooming who? What's his game there as well, right? In the meantime, Shelton Benjamin, misses the show because of weather, or does he? Or has he done that? Is it a work? But does the work create a thing where Shelton Benjamin is a guy that misses events, and that's how MVP slots in, and he is a surrogate tag partner, for example, and he appears to help Bobby Lashley. And all right, you are actually starting to gain my trust, even if it's just to tear it apart from the inside. Whatever. The only issue, because I love all of this, and the issue is almost independent of this story, but I just think it's relevant because I want to praise the zones eroding and I want to praise AEW adding so much more thought to it. And I didn't really mention it when we discussed it because the women's bracket is so more interesting. I just straight up don't think I like this Owen tournament very much for all the reasons that we used to criticise old AEW tournaments. The JY injury is unfortunate, and that solution is tremendous. We got a great match on this show and a really cool thing to look forward to on this. Proper AEW creativity in the face of a problem showing itself. There's so many losers in that tournament. And I just don't mean geeks. I'm talking about people that lose matches and have suddenly found themselves in a world title like contenders tournament. That's how MJF gets a title shot. And that's what puts it into like a zonal box again. It's like, got to get back in the hunt. Hurt Syndicate could help me do that. Well, do you know what else could?
Yeah.
This thing that Brody King, who can't buy a win to save his life, is like Mark Briscoe's. I love Mark Briscoe.
Yeah.
Didn't watch the show then, even last night.
Well, you get what I'm saying. You get what I'm saying, right?
I love Mark Briscoe. He was the first one I thought went.
The criticism of these tournaments going back years.
I get it. MJF lost his last high-profile match.
Yeah.
Against Hangman Page. So there is...
But like Brody King's losing low-profile matches.
Yes, but MJF doesn't put himself in there by design.
Yeah.
I was going to say he's a... Not in ring whatsoever, but he's a lazy guy, and he's like, well, I've got to win that match, and then that match, and then that match.
That's fair.
It's all in character evasive. Who knows? Maybe, and this is headcanon is all hell, maybe he was asked. He's like, nah. College football knee injury.
Yeah.
That's playing up.
I'll do it another way.
Can't do it.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah.
It'll take the easy. So it makes, there are other people who, come on. Mark Briscoe is amazing, this universally beloved guy. There are more people in the fiction of AEW more deserving, like the hologram.
Yeah.
Where the is hologram? The guy's undefeated and he can't buy a TNT title shot.
No.
Do you know what I mean? I'm not saying it's all perfect, but I'm in this specific case, in my head, and it's headcanon. It's not so much headcanon, like the guy...
They've done it before with this character,
Yeah. The guy does this all the time. The guy lost his last big match at Revolution, and he said to himself, I'm a fraud in the mirror, and now he's trying to get the help of the two scariest dudes in AEW. They can help me win the title without me having to do any actual work.
That's fair
it
enough,
all fits for MJF specifically, because I saw not many people talk about it on X these days, but I saw a bit of why is MJF not in it. Well, I've just asked and answered.
MJF leaves, and Big Bill and Brian Keith's music hits. There's a little face-off with Lashley, MVP. Big Bill puts a seat down for Lashley, who just kicks it out of the way once these.
I really liked all this.
Yeah, I have no idea who they faced. I have no idea. I don't think Bill knew either, to be honest.
Two pubes.
Yes, exactly. Because immediately Bill...
Sorry, I'm sorry. I've just stepped on your dick, but this has come to me. We must have had this conversation in real life and on the podcasts about 50 times. What did you call jobbers before you learned the pro wrestling lexicon when you were younger?
I remember yours more than I can remember what I would have said, because I can't remember what I would have thought of them, because yours is skinny wimps, isn't it?
Skinny wimps? For whatever reason, me and my mates when I'm like 6, 7, 8 years old, why was it always skinny wimps? Why is Hogan never on?
I feel like it would have been something like a loser
Skinny
or a
wimps.
nobody, like fighting just a nobody, a no name or something. Yeah, it was so weird, isn't it? Like the acceptance of that, because that was all TV wrestling when we were kids. So like just the pure acceptance of, I don't know, like there could have been the most outlandish character, a Papa Shango. It's like, well, fair idiot doesn't stand a chance against Papa Shango. You know, you just totally accepted it.
Well, these two skinny wimps, one of them got gorilla press to the outside to the feet of Bobby Lashley, basically. The other one then tried to attack Big Bill. Didn't go well for him. Keith hit him with a charging knee. Bill hit a chokeslam. 1, 2, 3. Lashley and MVP really enjoyed this match, to be honest. They laughed.
I like that.
They applauded. And Bill grabs a mic and talks about whooping Top Flight's ass. And then he said, we whooped Top Flight's ass on Collision, and tonight we whooped their asses.
Good stuff.
Good stuff. On Sunday, we were up in your ass. They want a shot at the tag title.
When the Hurt Syndicate first won the title, and prior to Buddy Matthews going down with a knee injury, and everyone was saying, Hounds of Hell versus Hurt Syndicate. Maybe we're getting a little Hoss division for 2025. That's going to be the tone of it all. I thought that's a good idea. Then it just completely fell off. This is what I want from it. Just complete alpha males who are horrible, massive bullies trying to outdo each other. And this is like sort of that in my head. It wasn't as funny as this. I like this a lot. I like this a lot.
And yes, the vibe was great throughout, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Really, really. You want it
nasty, funny, cruel black comedy.
You want to watch like as much of this as you can get away with. Ultimately, I like this like ultimate disintegration of the learning tree as well. This is the thing, man. AEW at the moment, not only am I enjoying what's in front of me, I'm enjoying what's clearly down the line.
Yeah.
That's the measure of the booking, in my opinion, with this company this year. Like, this is fun. This was really fun. Like, well done, take a fun
wickedly
segment.
funny.
Yeah. They're getting them away from Jericho. This is coming to an end. There's a sense of finality when they lose. So you want that loss, no matter how much you've enjoyed this, because of what it serves elsewhere, and obviously potentially MJF helping as well. I really bloody like AEW at the moment. Yeah,
it's pretty good. The promise that the best is yet to come.
Yeah.
Renee Paquette is backstage with Mercedes
Money.
and gets asked about facing Julia Hart this Sunday in the opening round of the Owen. Mone says, Hart's a former TBS champion, but not the greatest. I'll take more than tricks and spells to defeat me. Renee brings up Collision, obviously tagging with Harley Cameron against Athena and Julia Hart. And Mini Mone enters the shot. Harley Cameron says she's been contemplating as her and Mone brought the house down under. And she's got a great name for them, but before she could say it, Mone shut her up, saying, stay out of my way on Collision. She walks off, and Cameron reveals that their team name is the Money Wrath Train. Choo-choo!
It's obviously meant to be terrible. I'm going to have to watch Collision.
Yeah.
When I don't have to, because obviously the podcast isn't happening.
Terrific chemistry, these two.
Yeah.
So great for each other. Like, Mercedes Moné is, and it's so lush that she's in such good form when the bell rings, because I think that's what was missing when she got going in AEW. But this weird character that she plays, where she's so good when she's locked in at being like this deluded narcissist, and then the matches happen, and it's like, well, that informs that character because she's great, right? And she's got all these belts and everything. So it's all come together so wonderfully. Like when the matches weren't, it was like, oh, that's this massive gaping hole, and you've filled that completely. Then when you add a character that can just like allow for the silliness to creep in as well, I would kind of consider this the perfect Mercedes Moné experience as a heel. I think this is the complete set.
I have a wrestling question.
Okay.
Right. On Collision, I don't know how this works because Mercedes is, multiple-time champion. It'd be weird for her to be like isolated and in need of a tag. But let's just picture that scene. Okay, she's crawling for the tag, trying to get the tag. Is it a legal tag if Harley Cameron, she's got the tag rope, reaches out her hand, it's like a couple of inches away from it. If she puts Mini Money on her hand and Mini Money extends her hand, does that count as a legal tag?
I mean, it's AEW. They don't care about that stuff anyway.
Discretion of the ref.
What if, or does that make Mini Money the legal participant in the match?
What if, seeing as they've done a far better job of establishing the rules, what if the referee accidentally takes a Mini Money shot to the head, and like Mini Money has to like pay the referee a small fine?
Yeah.
Like Mini Money, like, it's $20. Like, treat your family. They can do with Denny's.
Take them to Denny's.
Then we got Will Ospreay and Kevin Knight taking on Blake Christian and Lee Johnson.
Vanilla, baby.
Like him on NXT yesterday, baby.
Oh, God, Blake Christian. Me and Murray were talking about this. If anything, he's too subdued in AEW. Maybe he's realizing, right, win them over. Don't do your biggest arsehole face on week one.
Yeah.
Like, get your spot, which he's kind of getting right now, and then really turn it up, like intensify it the more opportunities you get. Because, like, I love Blake Christian, man. Such an arsehole.
It is. It's like quite sweet how this meme is manifesting, because the run is obviously revealing so much more of him than that meme did.
Yeah.
The meme was a bit like,
we're
all laughing together. / ripping the piss out of him.
Yeah.
Like, he's absolutely taken that.
And he's done
reclaimed it for
amazingly
himself
well.
for this.
Yeah.
Like that.
He's done amazingly well, because Blake Christian, extraneous, flippy guy, just had a lot of people rolling their eyes. It was like releasing a new metal album in 2005. They had that Action Andretti thing of like, what else you got?
Yeah.
I've seen this, and you're doing a pretty dumb version of it. He's done amazingly well to get his name in there.
Yeah. And a great team, Will Ospreay and Kevin Knight. Early on, they'd hit a double drop kick to send Christian and Johnson to the outside and hit stereo dives, to which Will Ospreay, you see what he just did as well? Oh, that is guy. Back inside, Lee Johnson trips up Knight, and that allows Blake Christian to hit an enziguri. Ospreay gets hit with a spear on the apron to take us to a break. When we come back, Kevin Knight mounts a comeback, tries for does a double clothesline, gets a Ospreay hot tag. He runs wild, tries for a handspring corkscrew kick even, but Johnson pulls the legs out, and that allows Christian to hit a corkscrew dive. Just a brilliant bell end. There's a 450 double stomp back inside by Blake Christian, but Ospreay,
awesome that.
Yeah, Ospreay counters the suplex from Lee Johnson into a stun dog, brings in Knight. He runs wild with splashes and puts Johnson on Blake Christian's shoulders, jumps up, drop kicks him, which means Johnson basically hits a destroyer on his own partner. Ospreay takes Christian outside, and Knight hit a huge springboard lariat to get the 1-2-3 post-match. Tony Schiavone informs us that the Ospreay Knight match will be at Dynasty Dynasty, and there's a nice moment between the two of them.
Honestly, I thought this was TV wrestling heaven. I thought it was so goddamn great. Got a lot to say about this, so apologies if I'm all over the place. And, I will eventually stop saying this. Will Ospreay is, by some distance at this point, the best big match wrestler in the world. I still think he's had that a slower adjustment than I thought into proper TV wrestling, where it's going to be brisk. It can't feel too epic. There's going to be lots of entertainment value in there. It's a different beast. TV wrestling to big match pay-per-view wrestling is a different beast. I thought he might have been guilty on a few occasions of just condensing what he did on the big shows into shorter matches. He is really becoming an awesome in-ring TV performer, Will Ospreay. That sprint against AR Fox wasn't too epic for the sake of it. It was just bang, 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 like really intoxicating. And this was just so fun. This match, like really good physical comedy, like some really good punchlines. Like, I will say for Blake Christian, who didn't mug it up too much during the entrance and do the whole like, you're an arsehole. He decides to do one of his brilliant faces a split second before Ospreay does that back heel, that heel hook kick that he does, literally wiping the smile off his face. That was brilliant, perfect timing. That spot where Kevin Knight makes Johnson poison Rana Blake Christian. Thought the actual put us down. I thought that was really, really well done. And I also think like the action, I mean, it's Ospreay in a tag. Kevin Knight's like phenomenal as well, and he's going to reach a certain level. If you're him, by the way, you must be so buzzing. Like, what a platform you've got. Like, I'm stepping on the dick of our preview, but my God, there's probably going to be at least 5 moments in that Dynasty match where you think Kevin Knight's going to win. Mm-hmm. So, like, I mean, this couldn't do more for him. I also loved, and I'm fairly certain this was a deliberate choice of thinking ahead to the Dynasty match, which is going to be a bit exhibition-y, but then the tone could change. We'll go into more in depth tomorrow on the preview. I loved, and I wish the camera angle was better because I caught it on the replay. The idea that they do the stereo dive, Ospreay goes through the ropes, Kevin Knight goes over. The idea being, oh, hang on, he's a little bit younger, he's a bit more springy, he is reaching better heights in this specific spot than Will Ospreay. Oh, does that mean he's, got an athletic advantage over, of all people, Will Ospreay? I thought it was a really, really nice choice and a nice detail. This was a blast. I love good TV wrestling. I've said a million times, and people might be bored of hearing it, but I'll never stop stressing the importance. TV wrestling is so different to pay-per-view wrestling, and I think in this modern era where acclaim is currency, long, great matches are currency to get over, I think just this out-and-out, unabashed, fun, like the levity and the brevity of this was just outstanding, and I wish there was more of it on Dynamite every week. Yeah,
I echo every word of that. Not a lot, fabulous match, fabulous booking, and just to sort of build on the Ospreay point, because so just go to everything else. This was so fun as well. Said it a few times on the podcast, living in the world, being in the world. Could have spent ages here.
Yeah, same.
I'm glad that you want so much, and then they take it away, and obviously you've got the pay-per-view coming up between Knight and Ospreay, but then just this atmosphere that was curated by this match, that TV magic, brilliant. Just on Will Ospreay again, I love right now, Cody Rhodes, CM Punk, Swerve Strickland, right? There'll be others, but like those are some of the three that like right now, the very, very top. Like the extent to which Ospreay has them all beat is becoming something I almost can't wrap my head around. Like his top trumps card just goes 10, 10, 10, 10, 10, 10, 10, and then he adds another category and slaps a 10 on it straight away. Like he's never mind he's won this game. You have to like start a new game, and it's the Will Ospreay one where everybody chases him. He, in this match, right, the spot was the perfect exhibition of it. But like he did it like with his face constantly as well. And we've already put over how like good he was at adapting to becoming like a weekly TV promo guy, and a guy that kind of forced you to feature him pretty much every week on Dynamite. And the match thing was a bit of an adjustment period, but he worked it out quite quickly, you know.
I mean, it's hard to complain. He's doing 5s on TV now. You know what I mean? I'm being spoiled and everything.
But there's a measure to all of these. You know? And like what he has done here, right? Will Ospreay, who by the way has not yet won the AEW World Title, and it's a role we are forecasting that we'll have this year, but wrestles like the top guy, right? And yet the proof of that hasn't yet manifested. He will win the world title, but he's the top guy, right? In everything but the belt. Simultaneously has to play the role of somebody that is the top guy in waiting, and somebody that at any given moment could be replaced by somebody that's about to lap him.
Yeah, they've done it with Fletcher.
Yeah, done it with Fletcher. A lot of the Swerve match was based on like who's the top guy, and he put himself in there to be beaten to illustrate that it is Swerve for now, but it will be me down the line. The amount of different roles he has to play in his stories just to make his matches believable and not have you thinking top guy by a billion miles.
Yeah.
He has to do that in order to like, I'm not saying he lowers himself, he elevates others. So here's a guy that hasn't yet won the world title, may not yet have achieved his full wrestler prime, and yet is also thinking, well, on any given night, I've got to give the rub.
Yeah.
It is incredible.
These two, it's sickeningly good now.
It's sickeningly good. It is incredible when you stop and try and break down and analyze the areas in which Will Ospreay is like levels beyond. And like I use those examples, like Swerve leveled up, owned the role, lives in the role now. He might lose to John Moxley. He's a made man, right? Punk like operates on a different level to almost everybody when he speaks, and the matches still make you feel in a very different way. Cody's become the guy in the entire industry, most influential and important wrestler of this decade or whatever. So we're talking in the loftiest of terms to these wrestlers here. And then you kind of have to put Will Ospreay over there and be like, he might be something else. Yeah. Like, what are we talking about in 10 years when we're talking about Will Ospreay? From now.
Yeah.
It shows itself as much. I love the big Will Ospreay matches, but I think me and Usage were both like, there can come a time in the big Will Ospreay matches where, if anything, it's not that it misses its peak, but it's just like, I am as physically as excited as I can get, and I can get no more excited. So as a result, height of excitement, nowhere else to go. And that's not a criticism, it's just there was a feeling. I'm now feeling different things because I'm watching a really fun TV tag match and just marveling. Yeah. And that's like, he unlocks these secret levels that you didn't realize could be unlocked.
So charming, so witty with the, like, it was like the physical comedy was great and the charm, and then he still had that exhilaration factor of that, the timing of when he did the stun dog reversal. It's like he's just levels above. Like two guys who, through the brilliant construction of the match, appeared like peers, Knight and Ospreay, make quickish but exhilarating work of these two like really abrasive dudes. Well, Lee Johnson's great. It's just like Blake Christian's face. And now you've got that pay-per-view match where, I mean, Ospreay's going to win, but like this Knight, what a rollout.
Yeah. Weird comparison, but like I feel like that match is obviously going to be great, and it is going to be exhibition-y in a way. We've talked about him a lot this week, and I kind of am like for liking the wrestlers a bit, but I think there will be a certain energy to this match that will be a bit like, remember John Cena and Sami Zayn, or John Cena and Neville, where it was just like the guy is made, but what a platform. What you're really going to see is this guy's coming out party while the first guy wins. Yeah. The predictability is not going to matter, because there are going to be elements of this match that are just going to just blow your mind, and it's so cool. So like, again, a proper like solution to, like an over delivery of a solution to a problem, because Jay White was in the spot, wasn't he? And like, get well soon, Jay White, but what a fix, and what a benefit to everybody this is who remains.
The Ops are in the back. Samoa Joe says he started the group because he knew a battlefield was changing and he'd need to switch up his arsenal. Come Dynasty, himself, Hook, and Katsuhiro Shibata are going to be in the building watching and seeing all. Don't let them catch you lacking.
Yeah, it feels like they're going to be watching the trios match.
It's just words, isn't it? Words with these until something reveals itself to be more interesting.
Yeah, I don't give a damn about the ops. I'm sorry.
Me neither.
It's so weird, but I don't care.
More of a crew guy myself.
It's the opposite of everything else in AEW. Not only am I not that interested in them right now, I'm also not fantasy booking a ton of stuff for them going forward.
I would have liked Moxley versus Joe. Maybe they can do that post Death Riders, you know?
Yeah.
It's like a grudge program.
Then we got Brody King versus Lance Archer. Don Callis accompanying Lance Archer and having words with another fan cosplaying on the front row, which is a nice touch. Early on, Archer hits a clothesline over the top to the outside, and Callis is talking about how basically they are trying to soften up King for Takeshita and the Owen Hart. But King fights back. There's a charging crossbody against the barricade. But in the ring, Archer takes the ref that allows Callis to distract Brody for long enough for Lance to hit a big boot to take over. And they brawl around ringside as we go to a commercial. When we come back, Archer's hitting locomotion splashes in the corner. King fires back with a stalling German suplex, a running crossbody, and a senton for 2. King runs into a black hole slam from Archer for a nice near fall. There's also a big choke slam for another 2 count. And Lance Archer chasing the referee from the ring. But that delay allows King to recover. He hits some strikes in the corner, a cannonball, a big lariat, and then another lariat after he dodges something from Lance Archer, and he collapses on top of him. Brody King gets the 1, 2, 3.
Thought the finish was really anticlimactic.
Me too.
Like, in this match is really, really massively illustrative of wins and losses matter. If these guys are protected and over, I know Brody King is, Lance Archer isn't anymore. It's what happens. Said it a million times, man. Like, episodic TV is not the platform for the monster. This doesn't work. This match, and like move for move, is this awesome collision of like living mythical figures. If they're not just guys who lose all the time, they're guys who lose all the time. Any kind of aura or spectacle is drained from it, and it really just becomes this fun, solid, well-worked, can't criticize sort of deal where, you know, oh, I was quite impressive for that wrestler to do that move. Like, you know, like, oh, Brody King's left his feet. It always looks great. I mean, this is just a really nice way of saying I was bored shitless. Do you know what I mean?
It was the low point of the show for me.
Yeah.
The Spider-Man meme where the loser. It's like, well, we can't both lose.
Yeah.
Like, the only time we can book that match is when you're doing it ironically. It was the Peter Avalon thingy when the rankings, when they both had 0. Someone's always got to go because neither had ever won.
Is your tag partner injured? Mine too.
Yeah, like, and it's, this is as Sidge points out, it illustrates the reality of where they've
Move
gone.
for move, this is awesome if the booking's better.
Yeah.
So
like,
it's not I'm not trying to critique the performances too damningly.
they were suffering the wrongs of the past.
Yeah.
Ultimately, like, and even in the way that it's spoken of, like Brody King's allowed to win this week because it's convenient because he's in the tournament, so he has to get the win. But even the idea of like the softening up, it's that like we're all a bit too long in the tooth. Maybe some fans will be fine with it, but this idea of softening up is just losing then.
Yeah.
But if you can pick a body part and help out, you know, so it's even as if the wrestlers in universe are setting themselves up for failing, as they always do. And if you're Don Callis, it's like, go out there and soften up tonight. Cool. Is it okay if I lose? Yeah, I'm not asked about that.
Yeah.
So like, how's that work? Like, why would you, if you're Don Callis, why would you keep this guy around that just always loses for you? Because he's a softener
Like
upper.
to get disqualified, like use a chair.
Yeah,
Break his
yeah.
arm.
That'll soften him up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If this was the plan, I wouldn't have done Fletcher Brody King last week.
Yeah. Main event, though, it is Cope versus Claudio Castagnoli. Claudio rushes Cope before the bell, and Bryce checks on him, makes sure he's all right to start the match. And Claudio continues sending him into the barricade, but Cope recovers and bounces him off the apron into the LED board. Claudio fights back by biting the ear of Cope, basically, but he ducks a lariat into a sit-out slam for 2. Claudio rolls to the apron to recover, but Cope hits a spear through the ropes to the outside. But as he goes for a second dive, Claudio hit him with an uppercut in midair to take us to a break. When we come back, Cope hits an avalanche bulldog off the top for the reset, tries the impaler, but Claudio sends him into the ref, and that allows him to get an eye poke, a double stomp, and the 10 giant swings. That only gets a 2 count. Now, he wants the neutralizer, but Cope spins out into an impaler for a 2 count. He tries a sunset flip. This time, Claudio rolls through into a sharpshooter. Cope reverses that into a submission move, but Claudio gets to the ropes and onto the apron. Cope goes out there with him, but gets hit with a snap power slam on the edge of the ring. And then Claudio launches Cope over the barricade and chucks the ref in, demanding him count him out. Cope just makes it in, but walks straight into a massive lariat for a 2 count. They both try for spears and neutralizers. Claudio tries for a springboard uppercut, but Cope hits a big boot in midair. He runs into a pop-up uppercut when he tries for a spear. That gets Claudio a 2 count. Cope also kicks out of the neutralizer. So Claudio grabs 2 chairs and wants a concerto, but the ref takes it away. Cope low blows Claudio and hits a spear for the 1, 2, 3.
Didn't care about it. Terrible analysis. I didn't care. I did not care about it at all. I'm off Cope. I just don't. You can't call yourself Cope. You can't call yourself Cope if nobody's calling you Cope affectionately.
There's loads of edge signs in the crowd.
I know. Like, you cannot call yourself Cope unless people have decided to call you that affectionately and you've just taken ownership of it. And that to me is reflective of the fact that I just don't feel anything for Cope. And this is one of those matches, right, where it felt like, you know, when like people make a movie in the style of something that happened 20 years ago, and it's like, oh, it's a faithful reproduction and a worthy effort of something that, you know, it's not as good as it was 20 years ago.
They bought some cameras from a museum so the film would look right. Use the old equipment.
That sort of thing. I thought of this match in those terms, of a faithful reproduction of something that was the style of a certain amount of years ago. And I guess what I mean by that is you can't fault the order. Got the crowd at the points where they wanted the crowd, that slow burn. I felt nothing for it, even though in a studious way, I think it was well done.
Loved it.
Yeah.
With your heart.
Loved it.
Good.
Do you know what? Like, you mentioned something there, and I thought you were going to use the exact example before I got the chance to, with praise. Like, I said it yesterday in the preview, and I didn't expect him to actually do it. Like, this was his own, his own little version of the Undertaker WrestleMania 24 main event. It felt like it was wrestled with Adam Copeland's brain. And I'm not talking about Cope the character. That wrestling brain that we know is in there that sometimes gets lost because he does his own wank fantasies where he wants to be this like Hollywood
Jack Reacher
action star.
Said that?
Sick of it. Don't believe it. Don't like him. Look on the inside of his mouth before he says kid. Don't like any of it. Never like.
Did not Reacher, bro.
Yeah.
You know what? Twist Cup. I never did. I never liked that about him at all. But what an intelligent wrestler he can be sometimes, right? This felt like they're putting this match together, and you know the Alan Partridge thing, just sack Pat, right? He's got the little flip chart out, and he's just wrote, big right? This presented Claudio as this, the human horse, right?
Yeah.
This was not technical wrestler doing in a trios match, none of that. He's a big You cannot stop him. You can counter him. You can try and do the elevated versions of your moves because your standard ones don't work. Yeah. The guy's 10 foot tall and he's like sort of pretty quick. He's got strength. He's got speed. Like if he absolutely has to, he'll even dominate in like an aerial war. He's got everything and he's massive. He's like the Undertaker in his work rate area. You know, he's like when Edge would fight John Cena, the same thing applied. It's like he was wrestling Super Cena in his mind. I can't just wrestle John Cena. I've got to take down this guy that destroys people. Yeah. How do I do that? And that was always why the Edge-Cena chemistry was so great. And he did it. Like, I didn't feel like this went too long because I felt like it was, like I saw the match time this morning and I S'd my P's. Like 17 minutes or whatever it was.
But it would take that long.
It would take that long because he's got to chop down the tree, and then because he's a grit and he's like, these Death Riders have like, why am I not doing it the Death Rider way? Bang. Like, dick and balls will stop him, and I've got to be opportunistic now, and we're fighting them at the weekend.
And that was always, that was his nickname.
Good catch, Sidge. But like, and we don't do bits, but the very good bit of, it's like, no, that actually sort of applies here. Because he cannot get anything on the Death Riders, and because he cannot get anything on the Death Riders, he's watching FTR fall apart, right? And he's like, in the back of his mind, he's got to think, yeah, they're kind of onto something, but like we're all together, everything's fine. How are we going to get something on you from guys? Right, well, I'll do it this way then. I have tried my absolute hardest. We're still having this match. Like, he keeps countering me. Like, well, I'll tell you what then, I'll spin him through the ropes and take him far. He's fucking slamming on the apron. Like, what can I do? What can I do? And then at the last, he finally takes the opportunity, and if he can do that here, they could actually do it. Like, there might be like a low blow spot or something, or it did him with it, like you're getting the better match that you want from this trio on Collision as like a further add on to that. I thought this was a really, really good bit of business all the way around, genuinely.
I don't disagree with anything you said, and I thought it was a really well articulated argument as to why it was good. I just don't like Cope very much. I just
don't feel
don't
anything.
Like just don't feel anything for Cope whatsoever. You know what's funny? I think you like AEW more than the Fed.
I'm missing this spark, this creative spark out of WWE at the moment. Like, it's the little things I've been picking on, like the character decisions of a Cody Rhodes of all people, how he dropped the ball with him.
Yeah. Like,
how's he changed his motivation? Well, I don't know why it's The Rock's fault, but like there's a lot of like little things like that where I enjoy analysing why the big star, like, there's not enough stars still.
Yeah.
The segment that we're getting in a minute, that's like, there they are. Like, they are the treat. Yeah. I firmly believe it, and there's the stars. There's not enough of that. WWE still got that out the ass, but, there's a 1.5 hour podcast on the why the Mania Bill's not been great. You can go watch
suppose the European fans just give them some noise without them even earning it.
We ruined the Fed. Sorry, guys. They're back in Chicago on Friday. Watch that be fine.
So it's very awkward because Renee Paquette's backstage trying to find another update on Willow. And Swerve's like, no offense, but I'm looking to your husband to kill him. And before he can find Mox, in flies Hangman Page to get in Swerve Strickland's face. Security fly in. Does not really do anything, but they just get between them as they're yelling at each other because Page yells that he made a promise that Swerve would never hold the title again. Swerve says, let it go. Page is like, you broke into my house. And Swerve says, you burned my house down. But Swerve admits that he deserves it. And that that stops Page in his tracks. And he leaves. Do you want to pause there? Because it feels like two very distinctive parts here.
This was a great twist. I was half worried that they'd signposted, they're going to resume Page Swerve. Now, like, that was a good time to say. Actually, no, I'm going to say this for the preview. I was resolute in my idea that they're doing sunk cost fallacy. Let's beat someone the fans actually care about to do one last juice up of the Death Riders. Now I'm half thinking maybe they're not. And that's good storytelling. That's good booking. I'll say this again on the preview. I think Hangman Page might. If I'm putting money on this, I still think Mox is winning. But this did a great deal to, like, sort of cast doubt over the outcome of Dynasty. I'm thinking Hangman Page, who loves the callbacks, like to the exact same position in the ring that he stands alongside or opposite Kenny in the Bucks, might do the Matt Jackson nod of, nah, it is you. I'll take it off you at some point, but it's you more than him. And nod at Swerve to say, I'm not going to interfere. I think you should do it.
Like last week, I think it was, when I said I think the finish should be the accidental buckshot. Like, he's lining up Moxley. He's like, I'm going to do it for you, Swerve. And then Moxley moves out of the way.
I can still do that.
And Swerve takes it. Like, I cannot wait for an element of a John Moxley match. When was the last time I said that? Oh, this was amazing. I thought this was absolutely amazing. Like, Hangman Page being forced to face up with this being over and not on his terms was incredible.
Yeah.
Was absolutely 2020 staring in the broken mirror. It's all gone wrong, but has it actually all gone right? Like, we just witnessed a potential moment where the mustache and beard get shaved back down, where the hair returns to its nicer, lighter blonde, where the white clothes start coming back, where the old music. We start witnessing it bit by bit in a single moment. And that's AEW at its absolute very best.
Just like, he's just like, all right, I deserved it.
Yeah.
What
do I do now? Where does my path of righteous hatred go?
Yeah.
Because I have got what I wanted. Right. There's the ultimate vindication. And sure enough, like when he screamed on his knees after he beat him in the cage, the vindication is no vindication at all. A really, really elegant storytelling between these two. Yeah. We've just two completely logical finishes that either send them back into a brief war or finally put them together. Like, because ultimately that's where some of this ends as well. Moxley getting to be the lucky beneficiary one last time because we see Ospreay as the real guy to save the day. It's magic, man. It's
good
absolute
broken.
magic.
But what followed after Page left was the Death Riders attacking Swerve from behind. Moxley sent him into some sort of like wooden glass container thing, dragged him out to the ring where Swerve is surrounded by all of them. They hold him up for Moxley, who slaps him about. Wheeler Yuta dumps some glass into the ring, and Claudio hits a Ricola bomb on Swerve onto the glass. And Mox does a bit of last minute trash talk. They all leave, but Swerve sits up with glass sticking out of his back. So to sort of say, you're going to have to do a lot more than that on Sunday, pal.
Yeah, I mean, I would have done thumbtacks. AEW's use of sugar glass. I think they need to get over it, really. It worked, obviously, to brilliant effect at Revolution. They've used it in certain death matches or death-adjacent matches, and if the feeling's there and you've seen so much violence in a match and you're prepared to buy more violence, even if it's cleverly worked, you can get away with using glass. It just looks fake here. It just looks fake.
Yeah, it's like, I'm not calling for...
I'm not saying the opposite.
We don't want the Derby spot, do we?
Well, no, the thing is...
Well, that was still sugar glass. It was
it's
just done much better.
It's awkward because you don't want to be like, nah, sorry, yes, tax is a good example. Sorry, Swerve, you should have taken like 300 tax in your back to sell the spot. But...
if you're going to do it.
Well, it felt quite artful what they were going for, right? We've always had this thing where Swerve is like a bit of a psycho when it comes to like, but he actually quite likes it a bit. So this is in...
Oh, it's meant to be that badass theatre.
And they're doing the like for like, aren't they? So like Moxley 2 weeks ago with the speak. So I'm going to make you feel my pain. And then he does feel his pain and goes, I'm not scared of feeling your pain.
Who's the bigger badass?
I'll beat you.
Buy it on Sunday.
But you've got to, as a result, make him actually feel something that resembles the pain. Like what Moxley went through was absolutely horrendous. And he just shook off some fake glass. Like it needed to be way closer to what Moxley went through in order to get across what they're trying to get across.
Symmetry of, my God, these guys, like, how can they kill each other when they've taken so... Yeah, it just didn't work.
Would you say when they used it once, it was a gas, but soon turned out it was sugar glass? Would you say that? Or anything?
It's not anything.
Okay. If you ever want to do another podcast, just call me.
Blondie. Let us know your thoughts on AEW Dynamite in the comment section below. Or on X at WhatCulture WWE. Watch, they can follow you can follow Michael Hamflett.
Dreaming of not doing this job anymore.
Follow Michael Hamflett.
I can't believe you did that Blondie stuff. Were you ever worried when you were on radio?
I was like going to say, can I say cheers, Blondie? Doesn't really work, does it?
Like a radio moment, like, oh, God, think of the listeners. What if some of them don't get the references? And I haven't got a Blondie song queued up to play, then I need to get them back involved.
Best Blondie song?
Oh,
It's either Hanging by the Telephone or Dreaming for me.
Hanging on the telephone, I think.
I like it.
I love Rapture, and I don't care that it gets cheesier as the years go on because the rap feels a bit silly. Like that recurring bass riff's just...
My answers are correct.
There we are in the Dr. X shirt. It's like one of them iconic... Hey, wrestling as well. At Michael Hamflett, apologies for him.
What's
your favourite Blondie song?
I don't know any Blondie songs. Let us know your...
Probably the best of Blondie.
Follow Michael Sidgwick at
M. Sidgwick.
Follow me at Adam Wilbourn. Follow us all at WhatCulture WWE and make sure you subscribe to WhatCulture Wrestling wherever you get your podcasts from for daily wrestling podcasts. For now, that has been the Dynamite Review. My thanks to Hamflett Sidgwick. Thank you for joining us, and we will see you soon.